Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. In this video, we're going to paint hummingbirds. Now, these little birds are so fun. They are almost magical little beings. They have this iridescence in their feathers, so when they turn one way, they have this bright red patch, but if they turn just a little bit to the side, that patch can be rusty or almost black. They're fascinating. I love their feathers, their color, everything about them. Their energy. Obviously, one of the challenges that will come with painting hummingbirds with so much energy is the fact that their wing beats are so fast that you almost don't see them. They almost look like these little bodies are just floating around with these little wings beating so fast. So obviously we're going to be blurring the actual feathers in the wings so you won't see them. But I think this is just going to be a really fun painting. Along with the hummingbirds, we're going to be painting bee balm. Bee balm is a plant that they enjoy. They love that flower. They stick that little beak right in those little funnels of each little flower on the cluster of bee balm. And they just really enjoy it. And of course, those colors are just fun to work with. So yeah, we're gonna have us a ball with some hummingbirds. So again, thank you for joining me today. And if you're my subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're not, hey, you know what to do right down here. Boop, 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 boop. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and we'll go ahead and get started on painting some hummingbirds. Starting off with just a sketch and laying in my brightest colors in the neck. Just kind of block this little bird in and away we go. Because of the quick wing beats of the hummingbird, you don't have a distinct feathers that you might see of other birds in flight. So the trick here is just trying to keep the wings sort of loose and airy and not that distinctive. So I'll keep working on blurring the wings just a little bit by adding more and more white and then just even using my fingers here every now and then and giving it a smudge. In the throat patch area, you'll see that I'll be very, lightly putting in the distinct little feathers. And this is where the bird is fascinating in its iridescence, and that it can move from one side and almost look like a black throat patch, and then it turns bright red. It is quite interesting, and it's fun to paint, trying to get all the iridescence, and that's why I get to use turquoise. And, all these fun colors all on top of each other. It's so much fun. And you can see I just keep adding darker and darker values in and establishing the shape of the bird and working on the underneath of the tail. And I lightly add in my lighter values and obviously the bird is taking shape. And again, some of the more fun, colorful highlights. And you got to start with these flowers. Now, I'm just laying in these flowers. They don't look like much at first, but believe me, this will be a big explosion of color. And that's what makes this so fun. Now I'm starting the little female hummingbird here on the base, and I'm just blocking her in, but I'm not going to do a lot of detail up front. I'm just kind of getting her started because I want to give her a backdrop of flowers. So I'm just kind of roughing her in, and I'm pretty satisfied with how she looks so far, but now I've got to get into all these paints. And here's just a little bit of my big hot mess of a palette, and obviously there is some organization to it, believe it or not. I do have all my pinks kind of grouped in one area and greens in the other. A lot of those yellows and oranges, believe it or not, are from the last painting I did of the goldfinches. But, waste not, want not. But here we go. And again, here I am playing with complementary colors because I'll be able to enhance, I got a little bit of red there, the green in the hummingbird's head against the red of these flowers. And that's where the fun's at for me anyway. Again, switching back to cool colors. It's all a dance. And I know at first when you see me laying it down, when I'm blocking it in at this stage, it may not make sense right away. So you're probably looking at like, what the hell? Trust me, I'll get it there. As you can see, I keep going back and forth with warm and cool colors in these bee balm flowers. I have to lay in each one of these petals, if you will, is actually a flower. It's a compound cluster of flowers, and each one is a tube, if you will, and that's what these little hummingbirds just enjoy so much. They stick that narrow little bill down in each little tube of the flowers and suck the nectar. But as you can see, I'm laying in right now some highlights and creating that explosion. It looks like a fireworks. You know, these are just fun flowers to paint because I do get to use a lot of purples in amongst the pinks and weird green colors mixed in. It's just a big old fun, colorful mess, but it will become an organized flower, believe it or not. And yeah, I can't help but go ahead and do more highlights on that little bird. That's the fun part. Doing the shine in the eye, man, that's just got to be the best. Now, I'm going to start doing the little feet. Now, I just do the dark values first and just suggest what the little feet will be. And then I get to go over with a light purple highlight and just suggest what these little feet are. They're just so delicate, these birds. Now I have to every now and then take a look at it and just kind of study it, go back and forth between my photo references and really study my painting. We jump right back in. Now I keep filling in more and more foliage in here, and I get to play with a lot of interesting colors. It's not that often that you get to have purpley leaves against these cool blue leaves and green leaves. It's just fascinating, and it does add a lot of volume to that corner. I needed to have some weight down there. So I keep filling in with more leaves and just playing with all these fun colors. But part of the composition required that it had some weight down on this lower corner. So I keep throwing in more leaves. Now that I have an actual backdrop for my little female bird, now I can start putting in some detail. Now I will put a lot of dark values in, and then I seesaw and go back with some light values. And it's back and forth with me on this. So I'm just kind of blocking her in, but at the same time, I'm adding the lighter and darker values. A lot of times I'll say I have to do dark values first, then put the light values in on top. But because of the nature of the iridescence of these little birds, I kind of have to do both at the same time. It's hard to explain, but I think this is probably a good example of how I will go back and forth between the light and dark values. Okay, now you see I'm starting to get closer and closer on completing the little bird here. And so I'm just adding some of the little highlights in her tail and wherever I can find little sparks of light where it's hitting her. But we're getting close. This is the fun stuff. It's like you're illuminating the bird a little bit. I think this is fun. But now there's just a lot of little detail-y things that are going on, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. This piece is almost done. while at the studio. We're burning a little copal. It's getting quite smoky in here, but I don't know, I think it's conducive to painting hummingbirds. And now we get into the shine of the eye, my favorite part. You can see we're just getting on a lot of the little details that make this little female ruby-throated hummingbird just an elegant little thing. They're just like little jewels, I swear to you. They're absolutely gorgeous birds. And I just keep popping in the detail where I can pop it. And before you know it, see now she's got little feet and some highlights on her little toes. And she's quite an elegant little lady, don't you think? Okay, we're basically getting down to the wire here, almost down to the home finish, as we say. It's now just kind of cleaning up little loose ends, putting some dark values in where they're needed. Of course, I love going for contrast whenever possible. So, I'll go for it. I'll look for it. I'll create it if it's not there. And that's kind of what I'm doing here with this flower and where this other flower is overlapping. I'm making a point to go ahead and put my cooler reds in for the shadows. And again, anytime I can go for contrast, of course, I went for it here, trying to create more backdrop to this bird. So she stands out a little bit more, and I can kind of clean her throat up a little bit here. Anytime I see an opportunity, right here, values are a little too close for me. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little hummingbird pop a bit, give her a little bit of, so I'll go in behind this, behind her and, take advantage of that green on red here. Change my value just a tiny bit so that it's not the same value, darken it up. And that really does help. It's not like you're going to look at this and say, she's fudging on her values here. She's taking advantage, she's changing things. That's not really how this flower looks. And that may be so, but the viewer generally wouldn't know that. And I know it because I'm trying to create a backdrop for my little female hummingbird, which, little female hummingbirds tend to be a little bit more dowdy compared to the males, although they're very beautiful, but in a different sort of way. So I just kind of made her pop a little bit more. Same here, it looks like I can do a little bit more in here on her. But this is what I'm doing. I'm just getting down to the wire on this piece. About to finish her up. Again, I'll just put a little bit more dark values in here. I'm kind of digging it a little bit more every time I do stuff like that. Then I'll just look and see where else I can find another. If I find right here that the value is too close to each other, I'll go ahead and deepen this value in here a little bit more next to the bird on this leaf. And that helps a lot. popping even more. Yeah, we're about ready to call this a day on this piece. I have to say, this has been a fun one. I'll look for little areas where I can add a little bit of sparkle. And I may add a highlight to her wing right there. And sometimes, you know, I'm going off script, if you will. I'm just looking for places where I can add a sparkle. Just a little highlight. And yeah, then we're gonna, just about done. About to call it a day, y'all. I have to say, this was a really fun piece. Of course, I'm kind of known for wanting to play with color. I just, you know, I have a ball with color. And this is obviously one of those pieces that you can see was quite fun for me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And again, if you have any questions about any of this, I would love to answer those for you. You can just leave it in the comments. And perhaps you'd like to see me paint something that I haven't done yet. I know I've got a really interesting project, a commission that came in the other day, and I may just take you on that journey as well. It's going to be quite, how do I say it? A challenge, I think. It will be a piece with basically a depicting a gentleman and his family's life in a montage type portrait. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I may take you along on that ride. Or I may not. I haven't decided yet. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to get nuts here, but I'll sit there and start overlapping. And anytime you do these little bright highlights like this, it does give all of a sudden you have a lot more volume. Let me go ahead and zoom in on some of that area for you. If you look at what I'm doing down here, where I'm just putting these light values here, and especially right down here. I'm trying to move the camera so you can see it better. Gee whiz, Sue. There we go. That's the leaf I'm looking for. For goodness sakes, there we go. You can see here, I'm putting just in, you know, just kind of hitting that little leaf a little bit. And just by doing that, it just gives it a lot more of a 3D value. You just seem to be able to feel that leaf lifting up a little bit. And I'm gonna do a little bit over here. I may actually highlight it with a little bit of cadmium green. But you know, that goes in behind the bird, so I am not going to get crazy there, because then I start messing with other highlights. But there you go. And here we have the completed piece. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can really take it all in. And again, this was a totally fun piece to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I haven't made it too smoky in here. It is I got a little heavy with the Kapal, I have to admit, but it does kind of make it a little chill in here in the art studio. So again, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you did enjoy the hummingbird painting. I love how it turned out. Of course, it never gets old playing with complementary colors, not for me anyway. And I love, love, love how this, the damask spray painted background kind of offers that metallic look, iridescence, almost just like the hummingbirds themselves. Kind of makes it fun, really fun vibe to that. I like it. I like it a lot. So again, I hope you will try that out too. If you have any questions about anything to do with this particular video or any of the other videos, please leave a comment and I'll answer it for you. If you're curious about my mediums, my paints, brushes, you know, leave a comment, I'll get to you. And I appreciate you joining me today. And again, thanks so much. And if you're my subscribers, thank you. And if you're not, go ahead and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And until next time, I'll see you.